Hello and welcome back to Tech Fails, the channel where we exhume the carcasses of failed projects, sunset products, and historical technical disasters. We analyze them meticulously to understand precisely what went wrong. Today, we are looking at a tragedy of truly epic proportions: the spectacular, agonizing demise of Sears. Sears, Roebuck and Company was not just a store, it was a bona fide titan of American commerce. For decades, it effectively operated as the Amazon of its day. Think about that colossal retail empire that literally defined how America shopped for over a century. They famously built the tallest building in the world at the time, the Sears Tower. They had powerhouse brands like Craftsman Tools and Kenmore Appliances. And of course, there was the iconic mail order catalog, a physical Bible of consumer goods that reached every corner of rural America. Yet, in 2018, this 132-year-old behemoth filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. This was the final, painful end to a catastrophe that had been playing out in slow motion for years. This event was not merely a retail failure. It was a perfect storm of financial mismanagement and strategic hubris. Crucially for us, it involved a disastrous, almost willful failure to adapt retail technology to a rapidly changing world. The story of Sears is truly one of the most significant technology scandals in corporate history. Not because of a single hack or a faulty device, but because of an epic, multi-decade technological paralysis that seized the entire corporation. We need to start by recognizing the sheer scale of the company's original success to understand the depth of the failure. In the early 20th century, their mail order catalog was itself a technological marvel in logistics and data management. It allowed rural customers to order literally anything, from basic clothing and tools to entire prefabricated kit homes. Everything was delivered efficiently via the postal service or rail. This catalog was the undisputed precursor to modern e-commerce and gave Sears an incredible edge in consumer data analytics. This was long before the term analytics was even commonly used in business. Sears possessed deep knowledge of what people bought, where they lived, and exactly how to reach them effectively. This original advantage was a clear technological triumph, but tragically, they utterly squandered it. Perhaps the greatest irony in the entire Sears saga is that they did actually try to get into digital commerce very early on. This attempt came in the 1,980 seconds right at the dawn of the digital age. Sears partnered with IBM to launch a project called Prodigy. This was one of the earliest consumer-oriented commercial online services available. Think of Prodigy as a pre-World Wide Web version of what later became AOL. For its time, Prodigy was genuinely cutting edge. It offered users features like email, news updates, basic information retrieval, and, most importantly, online shopping capabilities. Sears poured an estimated $1 billion into this venture. Yes, that's $1 billion 3 decades ago, making it a huge investment. This was their golden opportunity to transition their established catalog leadership directly into the digital realm. It could have cemented their status as the foundational and dominant e-commerce retailer in the world. So, why does Prodigy stand out as a key element of this overarching technology scandal? The issues were rooted in the fundamental approach taken by the leadership. Sears and IBM chose to operate Prodigy as a closed system network. This was in stark contrast to the burgeoning open architecture that was defining the World Wide Web. They insisted on controlling all content available on the service. Furthermore, they charged users by the message sent and the minutes spent online, using a model based on printing costs. This pricing model and closed ecosystem fundamentally alienated early digital users who preferred the freedom and rapidly declining costs of the true internet. It was a strategic misfire. The management, steeped in a print and mainframe mindset, fundamentally misunderstood the economics of the new online world. They couldn't figure out how to monetize the growing traffic effectively. Ultimately, Prodigy became a significant strategic distraction. It pulled valuable financial resources and immense management attention away from the core retail business. This distraction occurred at the worst possible time, just as fierce competitors like Walmart were rapidly rising and perfecting their own supply chain strategies. When Sears finally sold its stake in Prodigy in the mid-1,990 seconds, they only recouped a tiny fraction of their massive investment. The project quickly became a definitive sunset product. Sears had learned a valuable lesson about the digital economy, but here is the tragedy. They promptly and completely forgot it. They missed their single best chance to be the foundational e-commerce giant. Fast forwarding to the late 1990s and the 2000s, we see the spectacular rise of Amazon. At the same time, Walmart was investing billions in revolutionary supply chain technology. Target was smartly leveraging its brick-and-mortar stores to create a modern, efficient, omni-channel retail experience. Sears, however, was stubbornly doing the exact opposite. The internal technological infrastructure at Sears descended into a state of total chaos. Their digital backbone became an unmanageable, sprawling mess. Following the merger with Kmart in 2005, the new entity, Sears Holdings, was left with a disastrously fractured and sprawling set of IT systems. They had no central control. They were running dozens of different, often competing systems for basic functions like supply chain, logistics, inventory management, and even their simple point-of-sale terminals. This was an unintegrated, complicated, and utterly broken digital infrastructure. It made simple, corporate-level data analysis and centralized decision-making practically impossible. The entire structure was a digital Tower of Babel. The different parts of the company could not talk to each other efficiently, or sometimes at all. Instead of pouring necessary money into modernizing its digital backbone, management pursued a different, financially oriented strategy. They prioritized financial engineering and selling off valuable assets. This included iconic brands like Craftsman and Die Hard. Competitors were spending between $4 and $15 per square foot on essential store and digital upgrades. Meanwhile, Sears was spending less than a single dollar. This massive investment vacuum guaranteed their decline in both physical and digital spaces. The lack of investment in technology and infrastructure became painfully visible to anyone who walked into one of their stores. This neglect was a key part of the historical technical disaster in retail operations. Shoppers were routinely greeted by stores that were dirty, poorly lit, and plagued by empty shelves. The in-store experience was universally dismal and frustrating. Inventory management, a classic application for modern retail technology, was a complete shambles. This is where advanced tools like AI-driven forecasting and machine learning should have been deployed. If a customer dared to order an item online, the in-store staff frequently could not locate it efficiently within the physical building. The system could not direct them accurately. This led directly to terrible customer service, canceled orders, and agonizingly slow fulfillment times. This eroded customer trust and loyalty quickly. The physical stores, which should have been leveraged as local fulfillment centers, the successful model used by Target instead became massive liabilities for the company. The sophisticated technology required to bridge the online and offline worlds simply wasn't there at Sears. What little existed was often too archaic and unintegrated to function properly. This wasn't simply a case of Sears being a little slow to adapt. It was a fundamental, cultural, and systemic resistance to becoming a modern, digitally driven enterprise. Sears had all the core assets required for success: the famous brand names, decades of customer data, and a vast physical footprint. They had the foundations. However, the executive suite stubbornly treated technology and essential store reinvestment as merely an expense to be cut aggressively. They failed to see it as a critical asset to be leveraged for future growth. The downfall was greatly fueled by a combination of organizational hubris and a devastating cultural failure. The leadership had an extremely dangerous mix of arrogance from their history. This hubris was coupled with a baffling short-sightedness about the future of retail. They clung desperately to the sentiment that the sheer weight of the Sears brand alone would somehow save them. They completely ignored the undeniable fact that a digital-first world demands flawless execution and an integrated, customer-centric retail experience across all platforms. The failure to decisively embrace digital transformation became the ultimate, self-inflicted technology scandal for the company. It was more than just a missed revenue stream. It was a systemic, deliberate erosion of their competitive edge in three critical areas that define modern commerce. These failures ensured their demise. First, they simply could not compete with the incredible speed and efficiency of Amazon's sophisticated logistics network, or the powerful centralized distribution of Walmart. Second, customer experience. Their website was painfully clunky and difficult to navigate. Their mobile app was clearly an afterthought, and their physical stores were visibly decaying. The seamless, instant everything experience their customers increasingly expected from modern retailers was an absolute impossibility within Sears' outdated technical ecosystem. Third, data analytics. Sears sat on a literal mountain of decades of valuable customer data. However, they crucially lacked the modern analytics tools and the necessary consolidated IT structure. This lack prevented them from turning that massive data set into actionable insights for effective marketing, optimized inventory stocking, and personalized service initiatives. The collapse of Sears provides a definitive and truly chilling case study for every single business operating in the modern era. The hard lessons are stark, and they apply far beyond the retail sector. Lesson 1. Technology is a core investment, not a cost center. Sears mistakenly viewed IT and store upgrades as optional expenses to be ruthlessly cut for short-term financial gains. Their competitors, by contrast, view them as absolutely essential strategic investments for long-term survival and future growth. In the digital age, a company's success is entirely inseparable from the sophistication of its underlying technology. Lesson 2. Adaptation must be cultural, not just technical. Sears had the idea to go digital with Prodigy and subsequent e-commerce attempts, which was a good start, but they fundamentally failed to cultivate the mindset of a true digital company. The entire organization, from the CEO down to the local store manager, must wholeheartedly embrace the new digital reality. Technology must be the driver for every single business decision, from complex inventory management systems to improving the basic in-store customer experience. Lesson 3. Never let yesterday's success blind you to tomorrow's reality. Sears' phenomenal historic success with the catalog made them dangerously believe they were somehow invincible. Past innovation does not grant any immunity from current market disruption. The precise moment a company becomes complacent with its established model, the market, driven by new technologies, will inevitably begin to pass it by. Sears, the pioneering giant of mail-order shopping, was perfectly positioned to be the ultimate winner in the modern e-commerce era. They should have dominated the space. But their collective technology scandals, from the Prodigy blunder and the massive neglect of their internal IT to the refusal to fund a necessary digital future, created a full-scale historical technical disaster. This disaster ultimately sealed the painful fate of a true retail legend. It stands as a profound cautionary tale that proves one irrefutable truth. In the relentless and unforgiving march of technology, you either evolve completely or you perish. That's it for this week's Tech Fails. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to keep up with the biggest blunders and technical catastrophes in corporate history. We'll see you next time.